Hello everyone, this is Latha Akula. In this video we are going to study about the next cell division, that is meiosis. So mitosis we have completed. In the mitosis we have studied that it is equational division where from the parent cell two daughter cells are generated and which have the same number of chromosomes, right? But whereas in meiosis the number of chromosomes were reduced to half in the daughter cells. That means the parent cell is in diploid condition and the daughter cells were in the haploid condition. The number of chromosomes were reduced, and here four daughter cells are generated. Four daughter cells are generated, and those daughter cells have the half the number of the chromosomes. Hence, the meiosis is otherwise called as reductional division. So, what is another name for the meiosis? Reductional division. Number of chromosomes are decreased or reduced. Hence, it is a reductional division. And who coined that term meiosis? The term meiosis was coined by Farmer and Moore in the year 1905. And who discovered the meiosis? The meiosis process was first studied by Van Beneden Winnewater and Strasburger. Van Beneden Winnewater and Strasburger are the persons who studied about meiosis. And what is the meaning of meiosis? Meiosis means to lessen or to decrease or to reduce. The number of chromosomes were reduced, right? Hence it is called as meiosis, a reductional division. And within the meiosis there is a double division occurs. Double division means what? Here two sequential cycles occurs. In the mitosis we have seen only one cycle, but in the meiosis we will study the two sequential cycles. Hence it is a double division. Of course it occurs in the diploid cell, but the resulting cells are the haploid condition. And how many number of cells are formed? Four cells are generated, and those four cells they have the half the number of chromosomes. And in that two sequential cycles occurs, right? But of course it has two sequential cycles. Only one cycle have the DNA replication. And we have studied an interphase, right? Before M phase the cells undergo interphase where the cell makes ready for the next coming M phase. So in that the DNA replication also occurs. Here we are studying that the cell undergo two cycles of replication, but we need to study that of course it is having two cycles. Only one cycle they have a DNA replication. Only initial cycle have a DNA replication. There is no double DNA replication seen here. And the cells which are undergoing meiosis are called as meiocytes. Meiocytes means what? The cells which are participating in the meiosis process are called as meiocytes. And where the meiosis process occurs? Only the cells of sexually reproducing organisms, only they undergo meiosis. We see in the multicellular organisms or higher organisms, there are some special type of cells are present. Of course, they were in mitotic condition, but at a certain time in their life cycle, they switch to meiotic condition. From the mitosis, they switch to meiotic condition at specific time. For example, if you take the human beings, what are the male reproductive organs and what are the female reproductive organs? The testis is the male reproductive organ and the ovaries are the female reproductive organs. Testis and ovaries are in diploid condition only. They were in diploid condition, but in that testis and ovaries at specific time in their life cycle meiosis process occurs. By the meiosis process, from the testis sperms are produced, haploid cells, and from the ovaries ova produced. From the testis, what are the male gametes produced? Sperm. From the ovaries, what are the female gametes produced? Ova. These sperms and ova are in which condition? Haploid. What we have studied? The mother cell is in diploid condition, but the generated gametes were in the haploid condition. Hence, the sperms and ova are the resulting cells of the meiosis and they were in haploid condition. So, the cells generated after the meiosis are called as gametes. Here, the sperms are the male gametes and the ova are the female gametes. So, in the life cycle, because by means of the meiosis, they'll see the haploid condition. But After fertilization, what will happen? After sexual reproduction, what will happen? The sperms fuses with ova, right? So this process is called as the fusion of the male gamete with the female gamete is called fertilization. So after fertilization, what is the resulting one? Zygote is formed. The zygote is in diploid condition. Of course, the fusing gametes are in the haploid condition. The resulting one is the diploid condition. If we see here, the meiosis ensures haploid phase in the sexually reproducing organisms, but the fertilization that restores back the diploid condition. Like this, the meiosis is a magical cycle where different phases will be seen. In the next coming video, we are going to study about what are the different phases seen in the meiosis. So meiosis, it is a double division, right? Here two sequential cycles occurs. So before entering into the meiosis, the cell which are undergoing the meiosis are called as meiocytes. Those meiocytes are in diploid condition, and before entering into the M phase, they undergo interphase, right? Interphase, it has a G1 phase, S phase and G2 phase. In those G1 phase, S phase and G2 phase, the size of the cell increases. It prepares the components required for the cell division, that is next coming M phase, and also DNA replication occurs. So here initially DNA replication occurs, and then the cell enter into the meiosis 1. The cell enter into the meiosis 1. Here this meiosis 1 is divides into two phases. They were karyokinesis and cytokinesis. In the karyokinesis, nuclear division occurs, whereas in the cytokinesis, cytoplasmic division occurs. If you see in the karyokinesis, like mitosis, it has four phases. They were karyokinesis 1 has four phases. What are the four phases? Prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1 and telophase 1. If you see the in all these four phases, which is the longest phase? Prophase 1 is the longest phase in the in all these phases. Prophase 1 is the longest phase because this prophase 1 is again subdivided into 5 phases. They were leptogene, zygotene, pachytene, diglotene and derakinesis. The meiocytes, after entering into the prophase 1, that complete all these 5 stages, then only enter into the metaphase 1 and completes the anaphase and telophase, and after completing the karyokinesis enters into the cytokinesis, where cytoplasmic division occurs, and the resulting are two daughter cells which are haploid in condition. And here these two daughter cells that enter into the meiosis 2. Here these daughter cells that enter into the meiosis 2, there is a gap is present between this meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. That gap is called as interkinesis. That gap is called as interkinesis or intermeiotic division. What will happen here? In the interkinesis, there is a little bit growth of the cell occurs, but there is no DNA replication. DNA replication is only seen once. Of course, it is a double cycle. The DNA replication is not seen in 2 times. Only once it occurs. Here there is no DNA replication. Only the proteins and RNA which are required for the meiosis 2 are prepared here. There is a small little gap is taken, and not only that, if it is animal cell, the centriole, duplication of the centrioles also occurs in the interkinesis. And then these daughter cells which will act as daughter cells in the meiosis 1, they will act as the parent cells. Here they will act as mother cells are the parent cells here. Here these two daughter cells will act as the mother cells in the meiosis 2. This meiosis 2 is also called as equational division or mitosis. Equational division or mitosis because here these are the parent cells, right? These parent cells, they generate daughter cells. These daughter cells, they have same number of chromosomes as we see in the parent cells, and these parent cells are the exact copies of these parent cells what we have studied in the mitosis, right? Hence the meiosis 2 is the similar to the mitosis or equational division. Meiosis 2 is similar, not the meiosis 1. Here this meiosis 2 is again divided into, it has karyokinesis 2 and cytokinesis 2. In that karyokinesis 2, what will happen? Nuclear division occurs in 4 phases. They were prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2 and telophase 2. After completing the nuclear division, the cells enters into the cytokinesis 2, where the cytoplasmic division also occurs, and 4 daughter cells were generated after the meiosis 2, and these 4 daughter cells were in haploid condition. The meiocyte wise in the diploid condition, the generated daughter cells were in the haploid condition. In haploid condition, in higher organisms, these generated daughter cells after completing the meiosis are called as gametes. If it is a male organism, they are called as male gametes. If it is a female organism, it is called as female gametes. This is about the 2 cycles seen in the meiosis. In the next coming videos, we are going to study about all these phases in details. First, we'll start with the meiosis 1.